Kenzo Takahashi was not born a pirate. He was forged by salt, steel, and silence. Long before the world would whisper his name in fear, Kenzo stood as one of the most honored captains in service to the daimyo dynasty, trusted with fleets that guarded imperial waters and commanded with absolute discipline. Among the Wako, he was known as the Wise One, a man whose strength was not measured by cruelty, but by restraint. His elders said the sea spoke to him differently, that it listened. The Takahashi bloodline carried an ancient covenant with the ocean, one passed from father to son through ritual, memory, and scar. Kenzo learned to read tides before he could read scripture. He learned patience before rage, strategy before bloodshed. Every lesson etched into him aboard warships that cut through storms like blades. Then came betrayal. During the rising tensions between the Wako and the encroaching British colonial powers, a crime was committed, one that would shatter loyalties and redraw alliances. Kenzo was accused, condemned without trial, branded a traitor by the very daimyo he had bled for. But the sea had not condemned him. Under cover of night, Kenzo escaped with the daimyo's most prized battleship, the Shinobi, a vessel designed for silence, deception, and surgical war. Its name meant ninja, and it became prophecy. Banishment did not break Kenzo Takahashi. It clarified him. With a band of brothers equally betrayed, he abandoned the codes that had failed him, but not the honor that defined him. Their raids were precise. Their targets are chosen. Their cause, deliberate. What the world would later call piracy was, to Kenzo, a campaign, a long game of redemption, intelligence, and revenge. His grandfather's ghost had visited him in the night and reminded him of the cause. He said, "You must find it. The islands. Kochira Islands." Kuchi Islands, pronounced Kuchi, were named by his grandfather after a voyage that left him stranded for years in unforgiving waters. In his language, Kuchi meant mouth, an opening that devoured ships and decided who would return. To most, the story was a myth. To his grandfather, it was a warning and a promise. The path to redemption lay beyond that mouth. 10 years later, it was said even hardened men felt seen, judged, and spared. His eyes did not blink when they met another's. They measured. They remembered. Kenzo Takahashi would become one of the most feared and respected tacticians in the Asian seas, not because he sought power, but because he understood it. He did not conquer the waters, he mastered them. And somewhere beyond the horizon, the men who betrayed him still slept, believing the ocean had swallowed their mistake. They were wrong.
Let me tell you about the day Takahashi came for Kuchi Islands.
The door to the haven opened as if it recognized Kenzo Takahashi. It swung inward on worn hinges, recalling the countless men who had spilled through it over decades. Sailors, cutthroats, deserters, thieves. The den was thick with smoke and sound, tankards striking wood, dice skittering across scarred tables, low laughter steeped in ale. Then the noise died. Kenzo stepped inside with his men, their cloaks drawn high, hoods shadowing their faces. Even in weather foul enough to justify concealment, the eastern strangers drew attention. Pirates were superstitious by nature, and difference always felt like a curse waiting to happen. Kenzo did not slow. Since leaving the east, welcome had become a foreign concept. Reports tolerated him at best, watched him at worst. That was why the former English naval officer walked at his side. Alexander Sterling, Alex to those who survived his company, adjusted his coat and rolled his neck, already preparing himself for the negotiations ahead. He spoke softly, close to Kenzo's ear. "There, Captain, my man awaits." At Kenzo's glance, Hiroto Fujikawa stepped forward. Kenzo gave his orders in Japanese, brief and precise. Hiroto nodded once and melted back into the crowd. His presence soon joined by others, silent, gathering, watchful. Kenzo continued on. He was accompanied now by Raiden Moore, the shinobi's navigator. No one blocked their path. Even in this den of criminals, there existed an unspoken law. Some men were storms you did not challenge. Alexander stopped at the table in the back. "Captain Kenzo Takahashi," he announced. "Meet Devil Dog." The man did not rise. He sat reclined, chair tipped back on two legs, his face hidden beneath the brim of a filthy overworn hat. "Sit," Devil Dog muttered. "We don't need an audience." Raiden pulled out Kenzo's chair and remained standing behind him, hands clasped, posture alert. Kenzo sat. Alexander followed. Devil Dog finally rocked forward, letting his chair settle. "Money," Devil Dog said. Alexander reached for the satchel. "No," Kenzo said calmly. "Not a shilling until I hear this story you told my associate. The one about savages who rule the sea." "Savages," Devil Dog snarled, glancing at Alexander. "That what you called them?" "Not you," Alexander said quickly. "Them. I want to know about the Kuchi Islands," Kenzo said. Devil Dog froze. Then he laughed, loud, sharp, wrong. Heads turned across the haven. Raiden's hand drifted toward the dagger at his belt. He was an expert navigator, yes, but more feared for what he could throw. "You want to chase tail?" Devil Dog barked. "Is that what this is, Sterling? You said he wanted rebels." "Wait," Alexander said, standing fast. His eyes flicked to Raiden, then to Kenzo. "This is a translation issue. Let me explain." "The hell it is," Devil Dog spat. "Trust me," Alexander snapped. "You didn't mean it. Sit down and shut up before you get us killed." Devil Dog yanked off his hat. Firelight revealed a face carved by violence. A jagged scar ran from brow to cheek, tearing through the left side of his face. An eye patch covered an empty socket beneath. Alexander spoke quickly. "Kuchira," he said, pointing at Kenzo. "In his language, it's Kuchi. It means mouth, a name." Devil Dog blinked. Alexander continued, pressing on. "Captain Takahashi's grandfather crossed the Atlantic decades ago. The sea swallowed all but 2 of his ships. He alone returned to Japan. Before he did, he found an island and archipelago and hid what treasure he salvaged. He named it the Kuchi Islands." Alexander produced a map and laid it flat. It was a copy. Kenzo's own hand had redrawn it. The true map, written in coded Japanese, would never leave the shinobi. "I believe these islands matched the legends I heard growing up," Alexander said. "Spanish gold, lost plantations, fortifications swallowed by the sea. I think the rebels settled atop riches they don't even know exist." Devil Dog leaned forward, dagger drawn, not in threat but as a pointer. "That's their territory," he said. "This island, Siren's Cove, that's Seraphina's, the witch and her sisters." "Which?" Kenzo asked. "She is," Devil Dog said. "And the women, warriors, pirate women, 100, maybe 2. He moved the blade. "And this Tempest Isle, that's Lazarus, his men. They say the women belong to him. The women say otherwise." Kenzo listened unblinking. They sail British ships under their own flags, Devil Dog continued. Those waters, they know them like breath. They are rebels, Kenzo said. Never call them savages, Devil Dog warned. They were slaves, runaways, survivors of Spanish hell. The legend says the sea itself rose up for them. Earthquake, wave high enough to kiss the moon. His voice dropped. The waters won't let hurricanes through. Ships vanish whole. You've been, Kenzo said. Devil Dog lifted his eye patch. She took it, he said. Serafina, when I touched what wasn't mine. Silence. Lazarus kept me 2 years, Devil Dog said hoarsely. Released me to send a message. Kenzo stood. Pay him, he said. We sail tonight. Devil Dog laughed hollow. You should be afraid. I am not, Kenzo replied. And somewhere deep in his gut, Devil Dog knew he would sail with him.